Imagine a place where the sea embraces the sky, and the scent of salt water mingles with the whispers of ancient stories. This is Lipari, the largest of the Aeolian Islands, nestled off the northern coast of Sicily, in the deep blue waters of the Mediterranean. The island is a place where time seems to move a little slower, where every corner holds a secret from a distant past, and the land and sea have always been intertwined. Sometimes, those who arrive never leave. During the summer, the island is a tourist destination, but as soon as autumn approaches, the shops begin to close and the island empties. Isolated from the mainland with no bridge, the only way to reach Lipari is by sea or by air. This secluded paradise appears to be an ideal haven for those seeking to vanish without a trace, to slip away from the world and never be discovered. Could this be precisely what happened to the mysterious stranger of Lipari? Let's take a closer look and see where it leads us. It was a quiet afternoon on the island, the kind where the only sounds were the distant crash of waves and the occasional rustling of the wind through abandoned streets. A woman was walking her dog near San Nicola, following a familiar path, when her dog suddenly stopped, ears alert, body tense. Without warning, it bolted toward a crumbling house, barking furiously. The woman hesitated. The building had been empty for as long as she could remember. One of many left behind as the island grew quieter in the off-season. Yet something about her dog's reaction unsettled her. Something felt wrong. Steeling herself, she approached and peered through a window. A man was there, motionless, hanging from a rope in the bathroom. This macabre discovery took place on March 19th, 2009. In that moment, alone in the eerie silence of the island, all she knew was that she had stumbled upon something she would never forget. The woman called for the carabinieri, the local police, who arrived at the scene and concluded that the deceased had been dead for 2 months. The man had no identification on him, or any belongings, no trace of who he was at all, except for an Italian-English dictionary, which was found in his coat pocket. The cause of his death was ruled as self-inflicted. As the investigation unfolded, the carabinieri gathered as much detail about the man as they could. They estimated that he stood at 190 centimeters tall and appeared to be between 45 and 50 years old. He was dressed in a long black coat, a large hat, and he was found wearing shoes that suggested he hadn't planned for the journey that led him to this final destination, his attire refined yet strangely out of place. At this point, one might wonder, who was this tragic and mysterious figure? According to the local police investigation, the man had been spotted alive multiple times prior to his discovery. The unidentified man was first seen in October 2008, when locals began noticing a stranger roaming the island, someone no one seemed to recognize. Throughout his time on the island, he remained aloof, never forming any connections with the locals, and his whereabouts at night remained a mystery to all. He simply vanished. The only trustworthy information available was the place where he ate. The stranger regularly visited a local sandwich shop called Gilberto Evera. the names of the shop owners. In an interview, Vera, the shop owner's wife, said that the stranger always sat in the same seat that seemed to become his own. Those who noticed him described him as fragile, his piercing gaze hinting at untold stories. He spoke English and enjoyed engaging in conversation with other customers. But his words were few, his demeanour distant, as if keeping something hidden. Never without it, a sleek black briefcase was his constant companion, adding to the air of mystery surrounding him. The locals spoke of him in hushed tones, describing him as thin and pale, a ghostly figure whose face seemed etched with the weight of untold knowledge. His expression, they said, was one of deep wisdom, as if he carried secrets far beyond the reach of those around him. He visited the shop for a meal every day, right up until November 5th, 2008, when the cafe shut its doors for the end-of-season break. On January 6, 2009, the last person to see the mysterious stranger alive was a man named Alfredo, who owned a house perched atop Monte Rosa, which he usually rented out to tourists in the summer. On that cold winter day, Alfredo went up to check his house and noticed that a window was broken and heard the TV on. When he opened the door, he discovered the mysterious man lying on the bed, fully clothed and tucked under a duvet. The moment the stranger laid eyes on Alfredo, he sprang from the bed, clutching his briefcase, and hastily muttered, "Sorry, sorry, sorry," as he rushed out of the house, his words trailing off into the tense silence. As the stranger made his way toward the main gate, Alfredo swiftly grabbed his cell phone, capturing the moment as the man departed. Alfredo reported his presence to the police, but no one could find him. The stranger was never found again. Alfredo was the last to lay eyes on the elusive figure, the final witness to the enigma that had haunted the island. Ten days before his eventual discovery, the mysterious man made his television debut on the Italian show Chi l'ha visto, literally translated as "Who saw him?" The Carabinieri had turned to the public for help, desperately trying to trace his whereabouts, sparking curiosity and concern across the nation. The broadcast reached thousands, yet no one ever came forward. The stranger remained just that, unknown. After the shocking discovery of his body, the stranger was laid to rest on the island with a gravestone bearing the inscription, "Stranger, the soul is known only to God," tragically passed away in Lipari in 2009. Some locals who were interviewed at the time shared a sense of sadness and possibly a lingering guilt as they reflected on how they hadn't reached out to the stranger or made any attempt to uncover who he truly was. The man's briefcase was never located, neither at the scene nor elsewhere. What became of it? Was it stolen by an unseen hand, or did the man, in some quiet moment, hide it somewhere, maybe in an agreed location, for someone to collect? Could the briefcase be the reason behind his assumed fatal decision? Was it the man's own tragic choice, or were there darker, unseen forces at work, pulling him toward an inevitable end? Why hasn't more information about the man been made public? Details such as his shoe size or the brand of clothes he was wearing were never made public. or even a photo of him for that matter, all remain elusive. Despite the Carabinieri's efforts, these simple but telling clues about his identity have never surfaced, leaving the mystery of who he truly was even more profound. Was the stranger hiding on the island from people in his past? If so, from whom exactly? The locals described him as someone who could have been a broker or had a career in finance. Perhaps he was ruined in the 2008 financial crisis and lost all his money, or money that belonged to other people. People close to him or others who were simply very unforgiving. Maybe he felt responsible for destroying the lives of his loved ones and decided to disappear and end his life. Was he fleeing from someone or a group of someone's? His past debts chasing him like a dark cloud? Had he crossed paths with dangerous individuals to whom he owed more than just money? Perhaps the price now was his life. The unanswered questions linger, casting a veil of suspicion over his final days. This unknown figure seemed so polite and apologetic in that one encounter with Alfredo, that it might lead us to believe he was a decent person in the middle of a personal struggle, rather than a criminal on the run. Perhaps the man was very ill or had been hit by severe depression, or maybe he was dealing with a dramatic loss. Whatever the reason was, maybe he decided to end his life on his own terms and chose a beautiful place in which to do it, far from home, so he would not cause a scandal or hurt his loved ones. One could certainly empathize with this line of thinking. And then there's the question of how he even arrived. Remember when we said the only way to reach Lipari is by sea or by air? That detail alone makes his presence on the island all the more unsettling. To this day, no official record has ever surfaced showing when or how the stranger came to Lipari. No ferry logs, no flight manifests, no sightings at the docks. It's as if he simply appeared, out of nowhere. Could he have rowed himself there by some unmarked route? Technically possible, but highly unlikely. The nearest landmass is Sicily, and even from the closest port, the crossing would be long, rough, and dangerous, especially for a lone traveller without proper equipment. In a small place like Lipari, where new faces tend to be noticed, how did a man like him arrive without leaving a single trace? Could modern advancements in genetic genealogy finally offer a way to solve the mystery? With the rapid progress in DNA testing, it's now possible to identify unknown individuals not by matching their own DNA directly, but through distant relatives. If even a single cousin, perhaps someone living abroad, completely unaware that a family member disappeared, were to upload their DNA to a public ancestry database, it could create a genetic link. That one match might lead investigators down a trail of family trees, eventually revealing who the stranger really was. This is the same method that has helped solve cold cases across the world. But that possibility hinges on one crucial question. Was a DNA sample ever taken and stored? If so, there's still a chance to uncover the truth, not through fingerprints or photographs, but through bloodlines, distant cousins, and digital family trees. If not, the trail may have gone cold forever. To this day, the mystery of the stranger of Lipari remains unsolved, continuing to linger and haunt the remote island, which, according to Greek mythology, is said to be the home of Aeolus, the god of the winds. It feels as though the nameless wanderer had set forth on a journey of his own, a true odyssey, one where fate had already sealed its inevitable, grim finale.